Hi, my name is Colin South. My group members are Taylor Papatonis, Kyle Summerford, and Stephanie Gibbs, and we are going to be importing Stella Artois from Belgium. Stella Artois is a Belgian Pilsner lager that started brewing in Leuven, Belgium in 1926. Following World War II, in 1960 the company produced about 100 million liters of Stella per year after production was halted for quite a few years during the World War II. In 2004, one of the first of the few mergers Stella would be a part of took place, this one being with Interbrew, which in turn created a company called InBev. Just 2 years later, in 2006, the company was producing about 1 billion liters annually. A second merger took place a few years later in 2008 when InBev merged with Anheuser-Busch, who is a brewing company located out of St. Louis, Missouri. Since those companies merged in 2008, Anheuser-Busch is now one of the largest brewing companies that employs over 30,000 people. Stella is brewed and distributed from two plants in Belgium, one being in its originating city of Leuven and another brewery in Jupille. Most of the beer exported from Europe is produced in InBev's brewery in Belgium and is packaged in the Beck's brewery in Bremen, Germany, and from there it is then shipped to local ports where it is then shipped across the world. When it comes to Stella being distributed in the United States, it is done by Anheuser-Busch as they handle all the supply chain needs once it arrives at the ports on the east coast of the United States.
There are multiple different methods of transportation used to transport Stella Artois all the way from its brewery in Belgium to our final store here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. First, we start out with the brewery. After the brewery is done, a 4-run 3PL will take the beer from the brewery to the port of Antwerp, where it will then go through the system of being loaded onto the barge and being ready to send out for travel. From then on, Maersk will take the shipment across the water, where it will travel the long journey and arrive in the port of Houston. Once to the port of Houston, Anheuser-Busch jumps in. Anheuser-Busch carries it from the port of Houston after it gets through its customs and clears to our on-site warehouse here in Fayetteville, Arkansas. From then on, we will either use motor carriers if needed to get to a final consumer, or if it was in store, we will move it there directly inside. The itinerary for a normal shipment is as follows. On day one, the order is placed and is sent to the brewery, where it is then filled, which takes about 3 days to fill the order and get it ready to be shipped out. In this filling process, there's multiple documents that must be fulfilled for the shipping process. Some of them are the commercial invoice, the packing list, the bill of lading, the certificate of origin. All of these must be fulfilled to make the process work. Moving on from there, the shipment is then transported to the maritime carrier. As we talked about on the previous slide, this is Maersk who is going to be carrying it for us. Through research, it shows that it takes anywhere from 6 to 8 days to be shipped from Port of Antwerp to the Port of Houston. Once it arrives in Houston, there's a lengthy importation process. You must clear imports. If anything were to happen, you can protest what happened, and there's many more certificates and documents to be filled, which Taylor will go over in the next slides. Finally, on day 22, it will arrive at our warehouse, where we can move it to the final consumer or use it here.
The needed documentation to import from Belgium is the commercial invoice, the customs value declaration, freight insurance, freight documentation, customs import declaration, packaging list, certificate of origin, and the insurance certificate. And these are just for Belgium alone. After that, you will be declared import declaration and can start the process. The goods will then be released from customs for free circulation once the pertinent documentations have been filed and payment of tariff duties have been completed. After paying the value-added tax and any other applicable excess duty, goods are also released for consumption and ready to be marketed. Once you have the proper documentation, you are now ready to label and package. For the label package, you have to have them approved before importing to Belgium. Label requirements for Belgium include product type, list of ingredients, net quantity, date of minimum durability, special conditions for keeping use, name or business name and address, county of origin, alcohol content, and lot identification. You can get approval for these label packages from the TTB's COLA online portal. The labeling requirements above may appear in one or more official languages of the European Union.
Now let's see the role of intermediaries throughout this entire process. Entrepreneurs and small and mid-sized businesses, in particular, make use of these intermediaries rather than spending their resources to build those capabilities in-house. In order to import our product into the US, we will need the help of a freight forwarder. A freight forwarder typically prepares the documentation, suggests shipping methods, and navigates trade regulations, and also assists with details like packaging and labeling. At the foreign port, the freight forwarder arranges to have the exported goods clear customs and be shipped to the buyer. The process ends with the forwarder sending the documentation to a seller, buyer, or intermediary, such as a bank. We can also use the services of an export management company or an EMC. An EMC is an independent company that performs the duties a firm's export department would execute. The EMC handles the necessary documentation, finds buyers for the export, and takes title of the goods for direct export. In return, the EMC charges a fee or a commission for its services. Lastly, a bank would also be needed in order to perform the critical role of finance transactions. Now it's time to set the terms of sale. Whether you are a buyer or a seller, assuming costs for international transport also means more responsibilities. We believe that with excellent negotiation skills, we were able to secure the most favorable Incoterm for our company and still remain in control of costs. We decided to use the FOB, or Freight on Board Incoterm. The FOB means that the vendor or the seller leaves our product at the port of origin, ready for international transport with all formalities taken care of. From there, we are in charge of contracting the international shipping, which gives us absolute control of all related expenses and coordination of delivery to our storage and the warehouse of final destination back in the US. We also stay competitive because of this, as we choose shipping routes and times, and we are able to negotiate prices with our freight forwarder. We also had to set the terms of payment. Most of the beginners of exports might worry about the terms of payment, because unlike other domestic businesses, you're dealing with a buyer, or in this situation a seller, who situates thousands of miles away from your place, crossing borders of your country. You might or might not know the financial condition or credit worthiness of your buyer. There were a couple of options that we were able to analyze before choosing our final term of payment. The first option was an advance payment. With the seller's point of view, an advance payment is the safe mode of payment for any business. However, from our point of view, the sellers, this carries some risk as we are advancing the payment before even receiving the product. Besides, we don't even know the seller in details. So we decided to not proceed with this term of payment, and we decided to choose a letter of credit, a document from a bank that guarantees payment. It protects sellers since if we as buyers fail to pay, the bank that issued the letter of credit will pay the seller. However, it also protects us as buyers, because in case we do not receive the product, we might be able to get paid using a standby letter of credit. However, we do have to recognize that letter of credits are very expensive, and besides, we're aware that we will only receive payments if we keep to the strict terms of the letter of credit. Besides, a letter of credit can sometimes cause delays and other administrative problems. However, we do believe that it's worth it since we're making such a big investment, so the safety of our product and our investments is worth it.